Hi everybody. Today I'm going to explain about dynamic cluster. Dynamic cluster introduced in Weblogic 12.1.2. It consists of one or more server instances. It's easily scaling of Weblogic clusters. We can add additional server instances on demand. Today I will show how we can create dynamic cluster and how we can set the policies for the dynamic cluster. I'm logged into my console. If we go expand the environments clusters, we can see the option new and dynamic cluster. We can create the dynamic cluster from here. I can give my dynamic cluster name as, sorry, dynamic cluster. Next, we can initial size of dynamic cluster is 2. It mean to say is initial cluster adding 2 managed server. The cluster start with 2 managed server and max dynamic cluster is 8. So this dynamic cluster maximum it will add to 8 managed servers. The server name prefix means your managed server start with name prefix. I can mention as managed server. Okay. Remaining, I can leave it as default. Click next. So in my laptop, I have created the machine, means this laptop as a machine, configured as a machine. So I leave it as the use any machine configured in this domain. Okay, and click next. Oh, the port, the dynamic cluster manager server starts with which port number? I can say it's start with 4100. Now I am not using SSL, so I'm leaving this one. Mm, Basic listening port start with 4100. Click next. Yeah, here the summary. Dynamic cluster cluster name is dynamic cluster size. Initial size is 2 and max is 8. So the prefix the manager server starts with manager server. Okay, finish. So my dynamic cluster is created. Once we open the dynamic cluster, here server template. This is the server template. Later, if we want to use the same template, we can use it. Server name prefix manage server. The same settings it will show. Dynamic cool off period. Dynamic cluster cool. I can set it as 30 seconds. This cool off period says the time between scale up or scale down operation. There should be a 30 seconds time gap. This column says that one. Okay, remaining as it is, clicking the save. So if you go back to the servers, so I prefix manager server 1 and type is dynamic, cluster is dynamic cluster, machine 1 and 4101 listening port starts with. As my machine is configured in this laptop, so I will start these two servers with my node manager. So start, go back to the servers. These are starting. Just I'm refreshing servers. Yeah, now my manager servers are up and running. So now I I'm going back to diagnostic module. Here I can set the policies when my dynamic cluster will scale up or scale down on which action should be required. Just I'm creating one module, Dynamo module I created is okay. Here I created a module. So in this module, we can create the policies and actions. Now I am going to create the policy. Go to the configuration and policies and action. Here we can create the policies configuration. I'm creating new policy. This policy is uh, uh, we can load. Means some of the companies having some load on weekends. So at the moment, if they want to scale up the dynamic cluster, they can use the policy. Smart policy. There are some of policy types: smart rule, calendar based, server log, event data, like that. Smart rule is nothing but some default policies are set. Just you can use those policies and functions, and you can create the policy. In this example, I'm cre sorry, I'm using the calendar based policy. Next, every n seconds, every n minutes, every n hours, when this policy, frequency of policy to execute. Next, every 30 seconds, my policy should execute. Next, keep it as default. Okay, here also the policy is invoke. Which action should invoke? Scale up action, scale down action. In this scenario, I want the scale up action. So we have to create the action, scale up, enable this action. Next, cluster name is dynamic cluster, cluster size current cluster is 2, max is 8. Scaling size means every time when this scale up action invoke, what is the scaling size? 1. Finish. The scale up option, scale up action added, and like finish. So my policy is created. Now it's active, enable true. So this policy is active. Just go back to the servers. Let's see. It's not running because we are not given any target. Go back to the dynamic module and give the target. So yeah, now go back to the servers, and yeah, once we refresh the servers, you can see manager server 3 added. It means every 30 seconds, one more manager server will be added up to the max size. In this scenario, we using 8. So this is how about the dynamic server and how we can set the policies. Thank you. I am Subhash. I am a Weblogic admin. Thank you. Bye bye. Thanks for watching.